Yo, what's up, man? This your boy D. Went on the porch, and we back. We are back for a new season, and this year, with the new season, we kicking it off with our girl, the very, very good doctor.
There she
Doctor,
go.
the good doctor. You know, she been out here in the city of New Orleans, just really trying to make a change. And I ain't talking about she ain't just talking. She really trying to make a change. She's been doing a lot of things in the city of New Orleans. A lot of y'all been seeing what she's been doing in this city. And right now we're in a state of emergency for real. And we need people like Dr. Wyatt to really just get on the ground and just start making it happen. So we gonna really jump into this one, and we just gonna go in. So without further ado, we're gonna welcome everybody back to On the Porch. Thank y'all for just sticking it out with me. You know, we like to just
You
lay
doing your
low a
thing.
little bit,
Doing your
and then pop back up.
That's right.
So without further ado, I want to welcome my girl, y'all homie, straight from off that West Bank.
That for sure.
See,
Let's not forget, see, when you uptown, they like to forget about LGs.
People always like to come uptown and always want to show their teeth when they come uptown.
I'm just saying.
But you know, we ain't gonna even sweat on that.
Listen.
People like to show their teeth when they come uptown. That's how people do us, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, she's straight out there fishing off
Yeah.
that West Bank
Yeah.
and Algiers. And look, she throwing it all over the city
That's
now.
it.
You know what I'm saying? So let's welcome my girl, the one and only, the good doctor, Dr. Ashonta Wyatt.
How y'all doing? On the porch with D. Listen, it's an honor. You know what I'm saying? Like I you know, when you asked me to be on, I inboxed you. I was like, this is so natural in New Orleans. This is what we
Yeah.
do. You sit on the porch and you run it.
And you run it,
So
right,
I'm honored
right.
to sit on the porch and run it.
Right,
with you.
right. So
Yeah.
look, all right, Doc. Doc is okay with you?
That's it.
All right, Doc. So look, this is what we gonna do. This is what we gonna do. We know you work with kids.
Yeah.
You start from ground zero with the knuckleheads, right? Not all of them knuckleheads,
Not
but
all
you,
of them.
but you know we got a
Yeah.
nice bit
Well, I
of
was
the
gonna correct
knuckleheads.
you, but you corrected yourself. It's all good.
Not all of them, but we got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know, and you started ground zero with them at the kids. So what made you go into wanting to work with kids? What did you see growing up where you wanted to do your thing with kids?
I mean, listen. So, as you've already stated, I'm from the project, right?
Right.
So I went to William J. Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
I had people as early as elementary school, like Carol Eggerlane. She was my elementary school principal. She was one of the first people who made us feel like where we were wasn't who we are, right? Like, yeah, you live in a project, but you're more than this,
Right.
And so if somebody who doesn't have any DNA connected to me, don't have no buy-in other than she's my principal, could believe in me and love me without reason, it was motivating. So I knew I was somebody very early. You know, my grandmother made sure I felt like I was somebody, my mother, my father. And I say my father because he was never there for me, but you know, I'm told from birth to 4, he was in my life, you know. So whatever reasons he decided to depart my life, I still honor that because without his absence, I still couldn't be who I am.
Right.
So he motivated me because of his absence. My mother motivated me because of her drug addiction. My grandmother motivated me because I was her granddaughter, but she had to step in and parent me when my mother was afflicted with crack, right?
Right.
So all of these things gave me a perspective much different than a lot of people because, you know, because of all of these things, the village stepped in. From Carol Eggerlin, I can remember every teacher I had at William J. Fisher. That's not by memory, that's about impact. You know, my first grade teacher was Carol T. Johnson, right? She was the first person that told me, girl, you something else. I didn't even know what that meant. I was in the first grade.
Like,
Girl, you something else.
you know what? I'm gonna be something else.
And I had the honor of speaking at her funeral. And I
Really?
remembered what she told me.
Right.
And standing up there, I said, I can remember when you told me I was something else.
Right.
Now in my adulthood, I understand I'm a whole lot of something else, right? But it was that understanding that you can reach children by not trying to talk at them, but talking to them. She saw something in me in the first grade
Right.
that I didn't even understand But then years later, I look, yeah, girl, you are something
No,
else,
right,
right?
right, right.
Right?
I'm on it.
I had Mr. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I had Mr. Lawson. I had Miss Payton. Miss Payton was my 6th grade teacher. Oh
Okay.
my God, mean as ever. But I guarantee you not leaving her classroom without knowing how to read,
Right.
do mathematics.
Mhm.
Like, you know, they all had their different content area, but at William J. Fisher, they touched every content area. They made certain, you know, I had Miss Lars.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the people who helped shape me very early.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on to Edna Carr.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the Fisher was going to Landry.
Mhm.
My mother decided, you know, you see these people every day. You hang around them every day. I want to do something different, you know. So she sent me to Carr. No shot against Landry because she went to Landry, but she felt like the best way to allow me to see something different was to put me in a different environment. Because when I get out of school, I could still see my friends, and you know, they went to Landry, but we still connected in that project, right? So my mother wanted me to do something different. And in the moment, you mad as hell because you like, man, everybody going like, well, I gotta go. But I'm thankful, right? And I'm grateful because I was able to meet people like Carolyn Patterson, you know, Coach Blackman, Mr. Bernard Robinson. You know, all of these people, Coach Hardy, Wayne Hardy, shaped my life. I was able to meet people like Joy Jones, one of the people who I hold very dear. Her father was like a father to me. Elysia Warner, everybody know her as DJ Stormy, but all of these people helped shape who I am. And so for me, I wanted to be all of that for somebody else because I knew I didn't get to where I'm at by myself. I knew it was a village, a village of eclectic people. You didn't have to have a lot of money. You didn't have a lot of status, but you had a lot of love to give, and it gave it freely.
Right.
And back then in the 1st grade, I couldn't give Miss Johnson anything for her loving me. She loved me because it was the right thing to do, not because she can gain something from it. So for me, that is who I am. And I carry all of those people. And listen, that's not even everybody. That's just off the top of my head.
Right.
So it's not about naming everybody know who they were to me. But that Fisher Project to me was the first dose of village that I was able to experience. That was the first community that I was able to experience. So a lot of people who don't grow up the way I did talk down on the project, but you don't understand how valuable that experience was for me to become who I am.
Right. Because you know me, like I said, growing up uptown, like right now, we sitting in the Magnolia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The former Magnolia. I went to Foshee, went to Woodson, so I was in and out of through all the projects.
Yeah.
You know, and it has its negative notation on it that we all know about, but it also grew a lot of people.
Yes.
You know, because right now, it's a lot of things that you saw, I saw growing up that we know. Okay, when we see it again at our old age, we like, oh, I saw that already,
Absolutely.
and I know how to handle that.
Absolutely.
I know how to handle that situation. So, I sometimes I look at it and say, yo, why are we putting, like, when people put down the city of New Orleans, it's like, yo, I know right now the city's going through a rough, but it gave us a lot of stuff that we that we love.
It's
you know
simple.
what I'm
Do you
saying?
put down what you don't really value, right?
Right.
Because the moment you see something a little bit shinier or you think it's a little bit greener, you gravitate toward that. But anywhere you go, you're going to find the same circumstances and situations if the systems are as broken as they are here. So any city where you neglect its people, where you starve them of resources, where you force them to live in perpetual poverty, where you starve them of academia through broken school systems, you're going to see crime. That's a fact. That's not a matter of an opinion. Any inner city, look in Chicago, look in Detroit, look in Philly, look in their inner city and judge their schools, and then look at the crime. Look in the city and judge their way of living, their quality of life, their housing opportunities, their work opportunities, and then look at the crime. So anywhere you devalue people are going to devalue the community.
Right.
So that's what's happening.
And the thing is, like, you know, you talk to a lot of people. Like, I stayed in Atlanta for a little bit, but I stayed in, like, Gwinnett County, the outskirts of Atlanta. But we go into different cities, but we go live in the outskirts. We don't actually go live in that city.
Right.
And we see just a little different, and we try to say, well, it's better in this city. Well, nah, like you said, you didn't go into the inner city.
Right.
You didn't go inside the city of Atlanta, where everything is almost the same as
Yeah.
New Orleans. You
Yeah.
didn't go inside the city of Detroit where everything is just about the same.
And what you'll find is the reason we gravitate toward the outskirts is because we grew up city.
Right.
We grew up living in the inner city. So when we have children and we get a little bit more money and a little bit more access, we want to give them better than what we
Right,
had.
right.
So there's nothing knocking anybody about wanting better circumstances for themselves by living on the outskirts, but you don't get to stand on the outside and judge on the inside if you're not doing anything to change the outcomes of
Right.
the inside, right? So my whole thing is there's nothing wrong with being critical of New Orleans. You have to be critical of something to hold people accountable to something.
Right, right.
But with that criticism comes the work.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing to change the outcomes for these children? I spoke just recently at the Inspire NOLA event, and my message was very clear. Everybody wants to be somebody, someone, right? So if you think about it, everybody wants to be somebody, someone. You want to matter to somebody. You want to feel valued by somebody. You want to feel seen by somebody. You want to feel heard by somebody. You want to be validated by somebody. That's a fact. So the reason I mentioned that is because I told the kids I used to fight a lot.
Don't look.
I used to fight a lot. Go to Algiers and find anybody that went to car or lived in that Fisher. They're gonna tell you I was
No.
fighting a lot, and I didn't realize in my teenage years, my early 20s, why I was fighting. And to realize now to like stand in who I am now and look back, I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard.
Right.
I wanted to be valued. I wanted to be validated. And I used my fist as a means to get the attention that I wanted. Same reason why kids picking up guns. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be validated. They want to be valued. They want to be loved. Some children have never heard, I love you. Some kids have never been authentically hugged in their life. And I'm telling you what I know.
So let me ask you something. So let me ask you something. So you're saying you think a lot of kids feel like do a lot of kids really do they feel like they're not being seen?
That's the foundation of it is that, right?
Right.
So even if I get negative attention, I have attention. The same reason why celebrities have all of this money, all of this access, but they're on the same social media platforms as us, regular people, because they're chasing this validation. They want to be seen. They want to be relevant. If you're not talking about them, they don't feel valued. So whether the talk is good or bad, it's the attention that they're seeking. So the kids are seeking our attention, and they're doing it in the most egregious ways because all of the other ways didn't work. When I acted out in class, you penalized me, you suspended me, you threw me out of school, instead of saying, like, what's up? What's going on? Come talk to me. What you need? That was my first opportunity to get your attention, and it didn't resonate. So then when you put me out, you threw me to the street. So now in the street, I'm going to get it how I live, and I'm going to show you louder than I tried to show you the first time, right? Do you know kids act out because they can't read? And do you know there are teachers who will call on a child to force them to read out loud to embarrass them in front of their peers? So rather than you embarrass me, I'm going to just go from 0 to 100 to avoid reading because I know you're trying to put me on the spot.
So wait, you really have teachers in the school doing
They
that?
really have teachers who do that, and that's not anything new. They've been doing that. Do you know a lot of kids, you know, as a principal, I realized hoodies, even when it was hot outside, like, why are you wearing a hood? You know, and I see a lot of adults, they don't even try to converse with the kids to figure out why he's wearing a hood. You just want to snatch it off his head. That's disrespectful to him. He's still a human being. He's still a person. He still deserves our respect. Like, come holler at me. Tell me what's going on. And that's how I talk to my children, not as Principal Wyatt. It's just a mother talking to a son. What's going on? Why you got that hood on? Literally. And then you'll find out, man, Miss Wyatt, I don't have a haircut, and I don't want nobody to see me without a haircut. So you know what I did? I brought the barbers into the school every Monday. Because what I realized is, instead of harping on the issue, well, why you don't have a haircut? With your mama, can't she pay for everything? Because that's the tone we take with each other. You could buy them Jordans, but you can't get his haircut. Without even understanding that them Jordans probably came from his uncle that don't never see him, but he gonna send him his shoes, right? There's all sorts of reasons why children do what they do, why parents do what they do, and not excusing anything, because accountability looks differently in different ways. I'm still holding you accountable by having this conversation about why you have that hood on, as opposed to just snatching it off your head and making you feel away. Now we adversarial with each other because I handled you when I could have talked to you. right?
Now, see, that's
Kids want love.
Right, right. Now, see, that's a word.
Yeah.
That word right there. A lot of people said. Some people said and don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Some people said and be like, they just saying it because it seemed like it's a new word to say, accountability.
Yeah.
But people don't understand what that is.
Accountability to me is love. Because if you love me, you're going to correct me. I am by no means perfect. There were a lot of people, some that I named early on, who held me accountable. Ashonta, why are you fighting? Like, why are you so angry? And it was in those conversations that I was able to sit down. It's like, I don't even know. I really didn't understand. But there were a lot of things happening in my life that made me angry. My mother was on crack cocaine, right? My daddy wasn't even there. So the man that helped bring me into the world didn't even love me enough to stay. And then I'm watching fathers parent their daughters, and I don't even have that. And I'm lashing out at people because they have something that I desire. It's not their fault, but that's what I'm doing. Right? So when you see kids jacking other kids and humiliating other kids and beat down on other kids, those kids are hurting in a way that they can't articulate. And then they're using the only means that they feel like they have available to them, aggression and violence, because we've made it normal. We've normalized violence here.
Right.
So it's not a far stretch to bust you across your head, because that's what I see.
That's what I see.
That's an everyday thing. So when people are like, oh my God, how could they do that? Because they live it, breathe it, eat it, sleep it all day. It's in the music, it's in the TV shows we watch, it's in our community. So if you're programming kids consistently with a message of violence and then they act out violently, we criticize the kid and not the system that created.
Wow. So, all right. So in the event that we have kids that's a little rambunctious, if I could put it a little lightly.
Yeah.
Right. In the event they get caught doing these things, what do you think? What are some of your suggestions that our criminal justice system should do if you catch a kid armed robbery, carjacking, because that's a big problem in the city right now. Carjacking, breaking into people's cars, to murdering. What are some of the suggestions you believe the criminal justice system should do?
So, I don't knock anything that the criminal justice system thinks is appropriate, case by case. Certain cases call for more stringent penalties, right? My problem is not that. My problem is, what do we do with children once we incarcerate them?
Okay.
Because in our case, a lot of the times we're building better criminals, because they can go to prison and learn a skill set that the streets don't even have available to them, because they're amongst a whole bunch of other criminals, right? And so if I put them in there, children, and I don't still nurture the child or fix the broken pieces of the child, he's still going to come back out into society even more damaged than he was when he went in there. And sadly, for a lot of our children, a lot of the resources that we're begging for, they only get it when they go to jail. So if you can take those resources and implement them into community, implement them into the school system, then they can touch all of the things that we want to put into children to be productive. They can touch those things before the penal system touches them, right?
Okay.
So my suggestion would be, the education system has to be reformed. And I don't mean reformed in the way reformers say reform. I mean reformed in a way that what you give a certain demographic of child, particularly white children in New Orleans, black children deserve that as well.
Right.
You can go to any school where the majority of the population is white, and you're going to see a difference of the way they're handled, the way they're taught, the freedoms they have to speak, the freedoms they have to express themselves with clothing. They're not over militarized, they're not over policed. If they commit an infraction, the first go-to is not NOPD. Right? But in our communities and our schools, the moment our children do something wrong, their first go-to is NOPD. Their first instance is to over-police, to over-militarize schools with bag checks. You're going through people's bags. You're putting them through metal detectors. And in some schools and in some communities, maybe that's a necessity, right? But you're not going to tell me that all of the black schools have to be this way, and all of the white schools, there's no need for metal detectors and bag checks.
Right.
The drug just look different in white schools than it does in black schools. The weapon just looks different in black schools than in white schools, right? We all know statistically it's not black children shooting up schools, but yet it's still, you still don't see an over militarized presence in white schools, even with all the mass shootings they've had. Right? So I just want equity in the sense that the resources need to be present in our schools. The personnel, trained professional teachers, social workers, counselors, certified principals need to be present in our schools. They have them for other schools. Why our schools don't deserve that? But you give our children people who are not even educators, who've never gone to school to educate. You give them school leaders who are business people, come from all walks of life, different professions, and in that you may find some really good people, but by and large the system is failing our children. So when you talk about the juvenile justice system, I want us to back up to the education system, because if we fix that part, then the trickle-down effect is that you'll have less juveniles out doing the things that you don't like. You'll have less juveniles going before judges getting sentenced for armed robberies and murders, because we fixed the thing that precedes the juvenile system. So we have to stop being reactionary and start being proactive about what we want to see for our kids. You asking a question after he done committed the crime. Ask the questions about what led him to the crime.
So let me ask you this here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this here. So in this whole process, at what point do we look at the parent and say, hey, because I know one of our main things in the city, a lot of people say, oh, there's no programs here in the city. It's nothing for these kids to do.
Yeah.
But they have stuff for the kids to do, even in our schools. But when it comes time to get the parents involved, it's almost like, hey, this is a daycare center for my child. Or I ain't got time for none of that. Look, just fix them because the court said fix them. Or look, he in school. I gotta go to work. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. They can't be a part of this here. So I'm gone. But when it come down to sports, if it's football, basketball, the parent is all game. But when it's time to bring in something more like something that can help them in life, it's like, we ain't got time for that. So how can we?
So I think the response is just like the question is multifaceted, right? There's a lot of ways you can look at it, but I'm a parallel it to exactly what I said about the children with the juvenile justice system. If we talk about what gets our parents to that point, then let's talk about it. I can tell you right now, most parents are scratching and surviving, right? Trying to put food on the table, trying to keep the lights on, trying to do everything that they can. And the parent that you're talking about is a very small fraction of parents. It seems large because most of the time they're concentrated to the same community, right? But it's a very few parents. But if we work to meet parents where they are and help build them up instead of being hypercritical, because there's no parental handbook that says this is how you parent.
Right.
All children are different. Some parents have several children, and their first child is vastly different than their last child. The things that work for that first child don't even resonate with the last child, right? So that means that that parent needs assistance when she never needed assistance before. She did so great with her first child. Now you question, is it me? No, the times are different. The access to different things are different. So for me, I've always been of the mindset that whatever resources we make available to children, we have to make certain we assess the needs of the parent as well. You'll find that a lot of the parents who you're blaming for certain things can't read on a different grade level than their children. Do we criticize that, or do we make a literacy program for parents? You'll find that a lot of parents want to be at the school, but they don't have rides. Do we criticize that, or the same bus token system that we have for students? We have an allotment for parents, especially on days like open house, parent-teacher conference, right? Make it available on those days so that you eliminate the excuse of they don't have a ride. You say they go to football things, but they don't come to school things, where the football stuff is more suitable to their time frame. They're not working at 7 o'clock in the evening when the game is going on, but you have a parent-teacher conference set up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. They don't get off till 5. So you want them to choose between that parent conference or making this extra money. So for me, I am in no way excusing parents. What I'm saying is, Just like we treat children on a case-by-case basis when they go into the penal institution, you don't swipe them all with the same brush. We can't swipe every parent with the same brush because the desire to parent may be there. The know-how to do it might not be there.
Right.
And we are very prideful in New Orleans. We will not tell somebody when we need help. Because you know why? We're worried about you're gonna talk about us.
Yeah.
The moment I extend myself and say I need help, you gonna go as soon as you're mad with me and you're gonna say, right?
Yeah.
So in some instances, that's the problem. I could remember, maybe you remember this story. There was a husband and wife. Their child was shot on the stoop. Somebody came from around the building, opened up, shot the kid. The parent, the dad, literally begged, cried for help. You know, instead of us wrapping our arms around that man, black man, we were on social media talking about how he gonna sit up here and cry like a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How he gonna cry? That's your son. You don't know what to do with him. You the man. You don't know how to fix it.
And see, that's the thing. That's just it may be awful what we talking about, but that's the thing. In our community, especially in our community, we look at the black man as bro, you shouldn't have any feelings. You shouldn't have no feelings. You shouldn't cry. You shouldn't be worried about stuff. You should be able to just.
We do that to the black child, to
Right.
the black male child.
Right. We look at him
So
like you don't have
he grows
no
up feeling
like it's like, oh no, man.
I gotta poke my chest out to be a man.
And it's like
I gotta pick the gun up to be a man.
And it's like
I gotta know how to fight to be a man.
It's not like that.
Toxic masculinity is a issue in this community because especially when you're from the murder capital, right? So you gotta hold up that you gotta hold up the mantle. You can't be scary. You can't avoid a fight. Avoiding a fight might keep you alive.
Right.
But you can't do that as a black man.
Right.
Then you all kind of names, right?
Right, you all kind of
all
names.
kind of names that you don't want to be.
And you just and all you did was you looked at the situation. You looked at the situation and saw the situation was like, hey, nah, this ain't work in your favor. This ain't me.
Right.
I'm a step away.
Right.
So what happens? And then, but I gotta push back on it a little bit. But a lot of it, this is just my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of it stems from sometimes, not a lot of it, but sometimes it stems from our women looking at us like, so you ain't gonna do nothing about it. And it's like, baby, look, I'm looking at the situation, and right now the situation calls for X. Why are you trying to push me to go do A and B?
So systems are broken, right? And that's what I always tell people. When you see something that you feel is uncomfortable for you, or you're critical of it, instead of you being critical of the person or the thing, think about the system that caused them to be this way, right? And what I mean by that is if you take the welfare system, for example, one of the prerequisites to get the welfare was that I couldn't have you in the house with me. Because if I have you in the house with me, the system is looking at it like, then you don't need any help. Why can't a man need just as much help as a woman? Because I could be out here pounding a pavement looking for a job and I can't find one. I can be hustling, trying to make ends meet, and the ends still don't meet. So we still have to rely on a system that, keep in mind, we pay taxes to. So should we ever need it, we should be able to pull from it, right?
Right.
You weren't always down on your luck.
Right.
So when you were on your feet, you were paying into a system. So now you need that system, and you're criticized for needing it because you're a man. So they're going to say, I'm going to give you these food stamps. I'm going to give you this Section 8, but he can't be there. So now you have a man that can't even be under the same roof with his woman and his child, because if he is, then the very money that he needs to help get on his feet, his mom, his wife, and his child won't have access to. That's a broken system. Because men can also be in critical need just like a woman would. Right. It's been 5 years, I've been looking for a job, I can't get one. That's a broken system. That's not me not trying to work, that's the system pushing me out and keeping me out.
Right.
So you have to realize that a lot of things are by design. So when you make a man, you desensitize him to his feelings, you make hyper independence in women. I don't need no man, I have my own job, I have my own money, I have my own car. Right? So you armed her to think that she's the head because she's confused. She's confused. I don't care how you put it. Children need their fathers. Wives need their husbands. Community need men to lead. right? So the system is broken in a way that you've emasculated the man, and then you made the woman hyper independent.
Right.
Right? I often see situations where a slight argument between a woman and a man, the first thing she want to do is, I'm going to call my brother. I'm going to call my old man. You going to call him to his death because you getting in an argument that you could walk away from.
And and then you're not even trying to actually sit down and figure it out.
Broken systems, because that's the breakdown in the village. Because you remember when I talk village love and village work, people think it's just words. No, I really mean that.
Right.
Village love is seeing something is an issue, and you might not be able to fix it, but you can help point them in a direction of the services that they need to fix it. If you see children hungry and you know you have food, then you feed them. Right? That's just what it is. That's what village love is. Village work is making certain that if I see this child and I know he's doing wrong, and I know his mama probably don't really have the best handle on him, look, baby, look, you gonna drive your mama to an early grave because all she doing is worrying about you. Like, why you out here? What's up? You gonna realize that they out here trying to be the men that are missing from their households. I see a lot of children in the quarters tap dancing so they can help their mama pay the light bill, or tap dancing in a quarter to get them some shoes so they won't get clowned at school. It's so many different ways that the system is broken, and we're blaming its people for trying to survive in chaos. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not blaming the architects of the system. We're blaming the people who are put in situations by circumstance, sometimes by choice. Because if you back me in the corner, right? Do you think about it? I told somebody this the other day. I said, you're starting to see animals migrate into communities because they're dismantling their natural habitats. So if I'm a coyote and I'm accustomed to hunting, and you're damaging and dismantling and burning down my natural habitat, I'm a migrate into the communities because I'm hunting, I'm hungry. I have to go find the food. You think a coyote want to be in a city? No, they don't. They want to be where they can naturally hunt, go get their food. And I don't want to mess with you if you ain't messing with me. That's animalistic instinct, right? So as a parent, if you back me in a corner, you keep me from working, you pay me minimally, you don't give me the best of opportunities and picking schools for my children, and then all the camera catches is me lashing out because you motherfucker. But I'm angry. I've reached my breaking point. Like I've endured all of these things, but you only catch when I snap. But you're not asking what provoked me to snap. There's no argument that the school system has to be looked at in a very critical way. Because in order to fix something, you have to first be very critical of it to see what's working, what's not working. How do we improve it? How do we share the wealth? What do we do? Instead of saying, the reason why this is happening is because of the people in the system. The teachers aren't the people that broke the system. The teachers are trying to survive in chaos.
Right.
The same thing you're asking our kids to do. They didn't create the broken system. They're trying to survive in its chaos.
Right.
Same thing. Parents didn't create the system. They're trying to survive in its chaos. And again, this is not to excuse the very small pool of parents who don't have no interest in parenting.
Right.
This is not to excuse the very small pool of children who have no interest in trying to change. But this is about the children who can be caught up because of circumstances. You heard the saying, once a good girl goes bad, she's gone forever.
Yeah,
she didn't start off being bad. It was the circumstances that created it. That made her say, I don't this being good shit ain't working for me.
Right. This is good.
I want that quick money. I want that fast money. I want the dope dealer because he got the money every day. You know what I mean? I want the rapper because it's consistent money that I don't have to work for.
Right.
So that's the same premise with our children. You're asking them to continue to just go through, watch their parents struggle, watch the parent not be able to afford to give them something. They got to get what their brother had already. You know what I mean? As opposed to the streets have a lot to offer. The dude that's running this car burglary ring, because I really feel like it's an orchestrated thing. This is a well put together thing that's going on here. Somebody's profiting big, whether it's the glass company, whether it's the people who need the parts off the cars. Somebody is running these children, point blank period. This is not, some kids still go joyride, but this is a ring. This, to me, this is a masterpiece of confusion. And think about if you can put that type of energy on something great and help our kids be great, but you figured out a way to put them into illegalities, and you've done it in such a way that the police don't know what's going on, the community leaders don't know what's going on, nobody knows how this is happening. That's a mastermind, don't you think? A criminal enterprise.
Could be they just bored.
Or could be that they're just bored. But at the end of the day, the boredom comes from broken systems. Why are they bored in a city so rich with opportunity?
Right.
Because if our city wasn't rich with opportunity, why people keep flocking here?
That's
If our communities are so bad, why are they buying up all our property in New Orleans?
That's a big question.
Because you perpetuate crime and you overinflate it and you fearmonger so you can run people away. And then all of a sudden, when the right type of people come into the community, the streets get fixed. Less cars are broken into.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I go.
You see more police presence.
That's pretty much how I go.
Ask yourself why though? Why do we have to wait until you have the desirable person to do right by community? Black people deserve
I'm
good
not
things
saying we
too.
don't. We
I
do.
know that.
We do.
But black people also have to feel like they deserve it.
That's the thing.
Because I'm tired of us thinking that we have to rely on any outside force. We can fix this.
Yeah.
You know, when I grew up in the project, I tell people all the time, we had a code. And as crazy as it might sound, you knew who the dope dealers was. You knew who the hitters was.
Mm-hmm.
You knew all of the people, right? I guarantee you, when I was going to William J. Fisher, wasn't no drugs being sold by that school. Because the OG gonna tell them, I don't care what you do, don't go over there selling no drugs around that school. I could remember a crime was getting ready to happen, and I was walking to the corner store. This is my own personal story. I saw the crime getting ready to happen. And the dude that was about to perpetuate the crime, you know what he told us? It was me and like 3 of my friends. He said, y'all go back that way. Because what's about to go on over here, you don't even need to be nowhere around here.
Right.
Go back that way.
We had that. Yeah,
We had that.
We all had that in the hood.
The problem now is where the OGs at.
Yeah.
They 16, 17 now. They 21. So they don't have the same respect. They don't have the same boundaries because they don't see no value in themselves or the value in community. They just don't.
They don't. But you know what though? I got. Well, what about this here? Because this is what I noticed. Like when you go to like the Lakeview area, when you in Metairie and different places like that, right? Those people that live in those communities, white or black, you come in there, commit a crime, or you come in there, and this is my thought on why we don't go, why people probably don't go in there and commit as much crime. Because when you come in there and commit a crime, no matter whether you got a face mask on or not, they don't care whether it's in front of a million people. When police or whoever show up on the scene, if they saw something, it's like, hey, X, Y, and Z did it. I saw boom, 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 and this all the information I got. If all the houses on the block got cameras, they like, oh, here, take my camera, take mine, track this person down. But when you come in our neighborhood, we all know who Pookie just shot.
We do.
We all know Pookie shot, running up on Derek and laid his ass out. And the minute people come up on the scene, Pookie's standing right there amongst everybody, and everybody like, I don't know. I don't know.
You know why? Think about this. You from uptown. I'm from Algiers. The culture in New Orleans, when it comes to murder, it's a badge of honor, right? It's almost like you elevate the killer in the community. Oh, he a goon. You give him special words and everything, right? He the man because he laying bodies down. But we also realize that if I say something, I have stories where I can tell you where people have spoken up and people have been murdered just off the assumption that they told, or just off the rumor that they told. So why is it that people in the Lakeview area, that's the neighborhood you use, right, can speak up and not fear vengeance or not fear, you know, the get back. But in our community, we know that the get back is very real, and we live amongst the killers, right? It's not like the killer who went in Lakeview lives in Lakeview, right? He don't live in Lakeview, so we can all be on the lookout and watch each other. But if the killer, you know how the projects used to be long porches, you in 2B, the killer in 2D. And ain't nobody coming to save you if he come knocking at your door and knock your ass off, right? Because so that's the idea is that retaliation is very real. But I think in order for us to have radical change, we have to have a radical way of doing things. And what I mean by radical is fearing and keeping us safe. So you fearing what could possibly happen, you still living in fear, worrying about what could possibly happen. I don't live like that. I want to be a change agent for my community, so I want people to feel comfortable talking to me about what's going on in the community. I want to be able to help in a way that doesn't harm, because people can bring you information, but if them bringing you information gets them harmed, then they're not going to bring you information. So I think it's the way that people handle the information in different communities. I've seen police say, oh yeah, Ray told us. Yeah, your own homeboy, he told us everything. That's not the way to handle that. Because now you've jeopardized Ray life, his family life, his children, because they're going to harm anybody to get to him. They're going to harm anybody to bring him out. So I will go out on a limb and say our communities do speak up. The issue is you don't know that they're speaking up because there are anonymous ways to do it, as it should be. Now, what are the systems doing with that information? I know people are speaking up, because every time you see a black person arrested in a very fine print, they said thanks to some anonymous tips and some callers, so somebody's saying something, you just don't know who they are. Right. But in Lakeview, they want you to know who they are because they don't fear retaliation. They'll get on the news and put a shadow of theirs on the ground. We can't do that because I know his ears. Like, his ears stick out a little bit. I know that's that boy that live over there in that building. You know what I mean? We not doing that because we don't want to die. Yeah. Right? So I'm just saying, like, we do speak up, but just because you don't know that the speaking up is happening, then we get criticized for not saying anything. Because even when we do speak up, then it's on the system to still get the evidence, to still do the investigations, to still put the pieces together. I've seen people finger shooters, and the DA still don't have enough of a case. All they have is the word of the witness. And in certain cases, you could sink black people with just somebody's word. In other cases, they're like, well, we need more. And now you don't put yourself out there, and now they, are they backed up so heavy with their case log that they can't even get to your situation, right? I have one for you. There was a killing on the West Bank in Algiers. Somebody very, very close to me. He was murdered, and his murder was captured on camera. And what better witness, And the dude still went to trial. That wasn't him. Your Honor, that wasn't me. We had to go through a whole case, a whole trial. Taxpayer money.
Got him on video.
And he's on video, on different angles of video. It wasn't me. So people are still afforded due process. So even when you point out the killer, you still have to rely on the system
to make it happen.
To convict them. So now you get out there and point Ray out, and then Ray get off, and Ray coming right back to 2D, and you live in 2B. It's a problem. It's the system. We gotta fix systems. I'm serious. We gotta fix systems.
You're right.
That's it. Just like, think about it, when certain people get murdered in New Orleans, tourists or more affluent people, it almost feel like the investigation is different. It's like they find resources. Their stories on the top of the news cycle over and over and over and over. Our children die, they might be, talk about it on the top of the news cycle for one day, and then it goes because it's normal to them. They talk about shootings and murders every day. But my God, if a tourist gets shot, God, if the doctor from Audubon gets shot, then it's a whole, it's a threat to society. We have to get them off the street. I want you to have that same energy when our babies are dying out here. So maybe if our babies saw that you value them enough to even really investigate their murder, they'll stop picking up them guns. Maybe if our babies thought you thought enough of them to stop calling them animals, because you know us black people call for the lynching of black children every day over stolen cars and busted windows, right? But there's something called the broken window theory. You know, look it up. The broken window theory. So my thing is, people don't value communities where you could come in and see the neglect. You know what I mean? They almost associate your worth with how you're living. If you're living in these conditions, then surely you don't value, you know, 911, or you don't value affordable housing. You don't value a good way of living because you're choosing to live in these conditions. When you're not realizing that the system has relegated me to these conditions because you're not paying me enough to move anywhere else. You're not giving me, you know, the resources I need to be able to pull myself up by my bootstraps. Because the moment that I do, what do? You raise the rent. The moment we get a little bit ahead, the rent gonna go up.
Yeah.
The lights gonna go up. The water gonna go up.
Everything.
You know, so it's hard to just simply lay blame at the foot of people. I think people have accountability in the equation, but I do not think blaming parents is the end all be all to juvenile crime.
Right.
I don't think blaming children is the be all end all to juvenile crime. I think we have to talk about these systems that are very profitable from the demise of our children.
Right.
Because the penal institution is profitable. Do you know it costs more money to incarcerate a child than it does to educate a child? Ask yourself why. So that's why you have no buy-in to make the schools better, because you get more money from them if you just incarcerate them. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, that's real talk.
When 72% of your children can't read on grade level, you downright crime gonna be out of control. They can't read.
Yeah.
You talking about fill out a job application, they can't read it.
Right. You don't even know where to
You
start.
can't even go to the grocery store and give somebody a $20 bill, and if the system go down, they can't even tell you how much change you get back because they can't count.
Yeah, I saw that several times in the store.
That's a system problem.
Right.
You think that's only a parent problem? That's a partnership and neglect problem.
Yeah.
The parents have a part in this. The community has a part in this. Our civic leaders have a part in this. The village has a part in this.
Right.
So it doesn't the village no good to say, oh, that mama. No, that mama is a part of your village. So you have to take some accountability for that.
Right.
You know that lady over there struggling, but know what you're gonna do? You're gonna close your door and act like her struggle ain't your problem. But we all live in this community together. There was a time, I could not pay my mortgage because they blocked me from working. If it wasn't for people loving me in the way that they do and creating opportunities for me to do what I need to do to sustain until times got better, I would have lost my house. And then, you know, what would the saying be? I didn't lose it because I did anything wrong. I went to school. I got my degree. I stay out the way. I'm not a criminal. And somehow the system still affected me in a way that could have turned me into something else.
Right. No,
because I couldn't pay my mortgage, so I could have been like, well, I'm about to figure out a way to get it, and the way that I need to go get it might not be legal, and then here I'm caught up. Right? So we got to think about those kinds of things before we become so high and mighty that we talk down on people, and we one paycheck away from having to hit the block ourselves, or.
And guess what? and you know what? The crazy part about it. This is my thought.
Yeah.
This is just my thought. I'm talking about even rich folks.
Yes.
We all one paycheck
We
away
all.
from
We
like.
all.
From
Because
like
our
being
means
like-
are different.
Right.
Rich folks' means are different.
Different.
They have 5, 6, 7 houses that
we
they have.
all-
So if you lose your income or your ability to keep all of that money afloat, you about to figure out how to.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, wait, time
Come
out.
on.
I think we all one
Come on,
paycheck
we
away
all.
from just.
So the thing about that's a system problem.
Yeah.
Like nobody's talking about how the ultra wealthy don't even pay taxes, but you're taxing the poor. You're taking money from people who are scratching and surviving. But the ultra wealthy, Jeff Bezos, run Amazon, no taxes, running around here with the guy that runs the Department of Treasury, but nobody talking about that.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about your homie that got the PPP loan and drag that, but you ain't talking. That situation don't have no effect on you. This situation affects you. So why you think wealthy people fight against taxes? I'm gonna tell you something. When poor people realize they poor, when middle class people realize they poor, when poor white folk realize that they ain't no better than rich black folk, and all of the people who have the same interests come together, we could really make some real change. But the problem is we have black folk who have a little bit of money and don't believe that they're the same as us.
No.
So you have the system on our back, you have white supremacy on our back, and then you have black elitism.
Yeah.
Because the moment they get $2 more than you, they looking down at you like, what?
What you doing?
Yeah, you get up and work.
Yeah. And it's
When they know they had a hell of a lot more opportunity than you had.
right.
Because their last name affords them a connection that you don't get to have.
Right.
Their last name affords them to open doors that you will never be able to walk through. But
Right.
they looking at you like they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, so you better do it too. Why you don't have no job? Why you can't take care of your family when they know their last name is the only passport that they
Right.
needed to
Negro.
navigate this city?
Negro.
Stop it.
Negro, you don't shut up.
Yeah. So I'm saying, so you could afford a nice suit, and I come in my Dickie fit, but my mind may be light years ahead of yours, but people don't view me as being an intellect because of how I'm dressed, when how I'm dressed is comfortable and authentic to who I am. But in some circles, they feel like what you're wearing tells them who you are.
Right.
Black elitism, right? We have black gatekeepers in this black city that are run by white folk
Yeah.
and white corporations to help the demise of black
Yeah.
people. That's a fact.
No, I know.
How could black people sit around and allow these people to completely take over our school system and we didn't fight back? Huh? How do we allow these people to completely take over our neighborhoods and we didn't fight back? That's why New Orleans can't keep acting like waving a banner of being a murder capital is some type of badge of honor when all you're doing is murdering your own people.
Preaching to the choir.
I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Even right now, right? You could go and you could drive your car and you can look at certain communities, this one for example, and you can see things happening that you wouldn't dare be able to see in 1996.
No, that's what I'm saying. The two people that just walked past here,
That's
we
why I
would have never
said
saw
it.
them. We would have never saw them walk through this place.
You
I wish I had a cameraman that could have turned and put it on them. The two people that
So,
walked through this thing,
and then the
you would have
problem-
never seen them walk through this
and the problem is that a lot of people want to say gentrification. Gentrification doesn't have to be a bad thing. Gentrification becomes a bad thing when you gentrify and push out the authentic people who were there. Why can't you gentrify for the native people who live there? No, you gentrify and tell them they're not worthy to live here now that it's better. The circumstances are better. The paint is better. The bricks are better.
I know, but
The way of living is
Why-
better.
why-
Now you don't deserve to live back here.
But I'm just saying, why I'ma do that? Why I'ma do that?
Mhm.
When I came over here
Mhm.
hundreds of years ago,
Yeah. And perpetrated a fraud.
and told the real people,
Yeah.
the Indians, I'm gonna gentrify y'all.
Yeah,
we gonna be straight, but I'm
Systems.
but I'm gonna kill you though.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you I was
Yeah.
gonna kill you,
Yeah.
and then I didn't tell you I was gonna tell everybody that Christopher
Columbus.
founded this.
He was
land.
lost. He was lost. He was looking for a whole nother continent.
Right.
And stumbled upon them people.
So you know,
But
I'm
my
just saying. So why when I? That's the same way they did.
systems.
Yeah.
So, because think about it. They like to tell us that, gentrification, this and why you complain about gentrification? Well, let me tell you about Tulsa. In Tulsa, they weren't worrying about integrating into other communities. They didn't want you there anyway. So what Tulsa decided to do was to build their own school, their own library, their own bank, their own community. Black folk in a utopia. You know what the government said? You don't get to live and we don't benefit from your living. So I'm gonna bomb you.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Pretty much.
Black Wall Street.
Yeah, they pretty much. That's how
Bombed
that's how
it.
goes.
So my thing is, we have been always put in a position to build our own, and we've always been subjected to white supremacy and white entitlement. You don't get to do these things if I don't get a piece of this. You don't get to do these things if I don't green light it. You need my permission to exist, right? Which is why people talk about the black dollar not circulating in the black community like it should, but the system is ensuring that it doesn't. Because the moment black people get a little bit of something, here come the white man to offer, I'm gonna buy your business. Can I buy it from you?
Yeah, but
Can I buy it from you? Now, whatever they gonna offer you for, you know it's worth 10 times that. Don't sell your grandma house.
No, I get that part, right? I get that. Nah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. But what happens when, because we see it at these gas stations a lot.
Okay.
What happens when we at these gas stations, the old boy and them, they got mommy up in there cooking. She cooking her thing up and everybody going over there. But Mr. Willie opened up his and he started selling food. If Mr. Willie had one bad day where the grits don't come out right, I don't fool with Mr. Willie no more.
Because
and they over there by my meat again saying my meat.
It's systems. Systems have made us feel like we have to live in fear of the other person making it, right? So I don't have a problem with you making it because you didn't grow up with me. I don't really know you. I don't have no buy-in with you. You don't look like me. So it's okay for you to make it. I don't want to see you make it because you know why? It's going to tell me what I haven't done with the same 24 hours in a day that I have.
But I want to be reflected on.
But that's the problem. It's like if I support you and you make it, then it's going to make it seem like what have I been doing with my life that he came up in the same magnolia that I came up in, right? He had the same 24 hours I had. How is it that he's thriving and I'm not? It's the accountability of self that we don't want to face.
But I want that accountability. I look at him and say, damn, man, I need to get my shit together.
So think about that when you ask me about these children and these parents. It's a very small subset of people who don't want to see these things happen. By and large, we want better for ourselves. But the system makes us focus on the very few who not showing up at parent conference. The very few children who are busting people across their head and taking their stuff. We don't highlight all of the good things that we do as a community. So the talk is always negative. The talk is always bad. Right? So you got that's all I'm saying. You could use that same thinking you just had and make it fit to everything we just talked about. I want to see you win. But you know what they gonna focus on? The 3-4 people over there saying, I ain't never gonna support black business. They ain't gonna talk about the thousands of people that keep you in business. They gonna talk about the 3-4 people that's talking about, oh girl, I went over there and the food was just nasty. You know, I hear people drag for knee-outs all the time, and I can't pass knee-outs without the line coming out the door. So somebody is, some black people are appreciating this black business.
Look, that's what
that's all I'm saying. And to your point, let me say this. I feel as black folk, we ought to be very aware of the people we allow into our communities to cipher all of our resources and give nothing back. We don't even fight people popping up gas stations and hair stores in our communities when they don't do anything to help improve the community. So to me, part of your pass to be able to get this property, what is your percentage that you're going to give back to this community? How are you going to improve the lives of juveniles? How are you going to put a dent in juvenile crime? How are you going to improve? Are you going to partner with the school system to offer book bag giveaways? What are you going to do in order for you to be on this block and benefiting from all of these black dollars? What is your black investment? That ought to be a part of the proposal before we let people into our communities. Period.
Right. I'm with you.
So for me, gentrification doesn't have to be a bad thing. Gentrification is bad when you wield your power to wash away everything that's culturally sustainable in that community, to tell me this is how it should look. These are the people that should be here. You know? And gentrification is more than buildings. We have to gentrify our minds too, because we have to believe that we deserve better. We have to believe that we can live like this, and we don't have to live in a war zone. Like, we can love each other, and it doesn't have to be something that costs us anything. Kindness is free. Love is free. But think about the price you pay when you pick up that gun and make a decision that's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. And it's going to decimate a family.
It's going to decimate you.
So we have to teach our children that the cost of murder is just a price tab that we can't afford to keep paying. And we have to do so in love. There's love and correction. I tell people this all the time. If you want me to see you and hear you and value you, then you have to reciprocate. You can't me to that and then think I'm listening. Because you're hypercritical, but there ain't no love in it. You're hypercritical, but there ain't no care in it. You don't even understand why I'm doing the things I'm doing. All you want me to do is feel sorry about what I'm doing.
Right.
Like systems.
Right.
I don't fight people. I fight systems. And if I fight a person, it's because they're helping to perpetuate a system that is harming my people.
Not physical.
Not physical no more. I learned how to think.
I
I learned how to think.
Right.
Yeah, I used to.
That's what I'm saying.
I used to.
Not.
But hold up, D. It's like riding a bike.
You can go back if you
I
need
could go
to.
back. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you
if
something.
you need to, you be like, you know what?
I could defend me.
No, I'm still from that fishing.
I'm still from that fishing.
I'm still from.
And I'm gonna fight you physically if I have to for my children.
Right.
Because even though a lot of them, in your opinion, are doing the wrong thing, there's a multitude of them who are doing the right things. You know, and we
Not
don't.
in my opinion.
Absolutely, we don't.
Not in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I say you say even in your opinion.
No, I'm talking to the people who are very
Okay.
hypercritical of black children,
Gotcha.
right? I'm talking to them. I'm talking to them whose child is so good that he not in the street. So therefore, you're criticizing the parentage and the kids of the people who are in the street.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, if you have the magic potion that helps me be a better parent, why you hoarding it? Share it with me. Give me a little some of it. Give me pour a little in my cup. Yeah, a little razzle dazzle. Give me some of it. You know what I'm saying? If you have the answer, then don't keep it to yourself.
Right.
That's why I talk to people. That's why I lend my voice, because I do have I love my kid. I think he's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not perfect, but I feel like he can be an exemplar of what community love and village love is all about, because I don't parent him by myself. There are gap fillers. Kevin is a gap filler for me. When I can't do for my son, Kevin steps in and if I tell one of my friends, look, I got a meeting, but I can't pick Cam up, he's driving now. But when that was the case, my friends will be like, look, I can pick him up, go to your meeting. That's village.
Mm-hmm.
But we are so stuck in this me, my. All I concern myself with is my children, my house, my car, my job. When you don't realize that there's a whole bunch of other children who are being disserviced, and they have to live amongst you and your children, right? So it does you some good to consider lending your resource, which is yourself, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's an idea, lend it to the community to help bring us all up. Because until all of us are well, none of us are well. And the city ain't well.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it from the great doctor, from the good doctor. The great
She
doctor.
do, she can.
The good doctor. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, and when people hear doctor, I want them to know that I'm a doctor of education. So when I talk this school thing, that's my wheelhouse.
Look,
That's my wheelhouse.
look, if you didn't catch that, something wrong with you. If you didn't catch that, I don't know what to say. Look, let them go back to school and figure that out.
Yeah, and
But,
look, I need your help to tell your people. You got to tell them people to let me work. Tell the school system let me in.
come on, man. Why are you? Look,
Let me in. I'm ready.
man. Look, this. Man, look. I'm telling
ready.
you, watch what she's gonna do, y'all. She's gonna go run to these white people. She's gonna go right up there to the archdiocese, and they're gonna be like, "Come on, we can take you in." Y'all better let her go. Y'all better let her in here. Y'all better let her in,
Yeah,
cause y'all
let
gonna
me.
lose a great mind.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. But look, Doc, before we roll up out of here, we ended it on black businesses, right? So we got to end it on the top 4.
Okay.
We got to end it on the top 4. The top 4 is your top 4 locally owned restaurants in the city.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you hit them with the top 4. I'm talking about your go-tos now.
Okay. Look,
So
let me tell you something. So off the top of my head, I got to shout out Be Sweet over there on the Rampart. Love it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I just took my my kid there yesterday, but a lot of my black spots don't have no brick and mortar. They hood spots. Like Miss Nookie over there in that Fisher Project that be fixing up them plates in that Yakima. That's a go-to.
Give it to 'em.
Like My boy B, Brandon, he had the food truck. He sell a place. Those my go-to people.
Where's food truck be at?
His food truck was over there, right there by Mara Henderson School. It was right in front of Mara Henderson School. B, you gotta let the people know where your food truck. Mara Henderson is on in the Fisher, right there on LB Landry, Whitney Avenue.
So you telling me you about to do everything on the West Bank?
I did. My first one was on No Rampart. Don't
Man,
you?
I'm talking about uptown. I ain't talking about downtown. I'm talking about uptown.
So let me see what's uptown that I like. Now here's the thing. I like Addie's. D's. I don't know how they pronounce it. You know, that's right there off of Tulane.
That's not uptown.
But listen, this is my thing. I just told you I'm a West Bank. I'm an Algerian. When I travel uptown, I got to depend on Aretha and Treese. Those are my two friends. They from uptown. When I want to navigate that East Bank and Gentilly, I got to depend on Kel because he from on this side, from that 7th Ward. I can't tell you no.
I ain't asking for 7th Ward. I ain't asking for Gentilly.
So look,
I'm talking about uptown.
Tell me what's uptown. Tell me what's uptown. I'm going to tell you what I like. What food places? I don't know the areas like that.
Man, come on.
Tell them don't do me, Kel.
Wait. Time out. Nah, she don't know my Kel.
I don't know the areas like that. I'm not afraid to tell you that. I get chauffeured around on this side.
But hold up. I go on that West Bank. I know about Chubby's.
That's the best bank. You better know about Chubby's.
Man, no goddamn on Best Bank. What is you talking about?
And Chubby's is black owned.
Yeah, but I know about them.
Ursula over there, they doing their thing.
I go get a little chicken 2-piece from over there.
All right, well, now this what I'm gonna do for you. Give me your spot uptown. I promise you I'm gonna go eat that a day. What's your spot?
What's the spot uptown?
I got you.
What's the spot uptown?
What's the spot uptown?
Go over there, right up the street. You literally right up the street.
All right.
MKM.
Look,
you gotta go hit them up.
Now hold up.
The girl
in my defense, MKM started not at no brick and mortar when she was.
I know she was on the truck,
and I had her food when she was on the truck.
She uptown.
So I'm gonna go there today.
Go over there.
I got you.
Go get
it's a young
seafood.
sister too.
Yeah,
that's a young black girl.
That's a teenager.
These exquisite. I've eaten these exquisite.
He not
before.
uptown.
I'm just saying, all the black people
he
I like.
Uptown.
I've eaten at Murrow's before.
Yeah.
I like Murrow's.
Okay, what about
Chicken? Skip always get my business.
That's uptown.
And guess what else Skip did for me when I was a principal at Horny, and I was going around getting support.
Wait, time out. Time out. Time out. Time out. Flag on the plate. So you telling me you was right over here at Edgar P. Horny?
Yes.
And you don't know spots uptown.
Listen.
You was in the middle of uptown.
Listen.
You was in the heart of uptown.
But
and you don't know what.
Now here's the thing. When I come uptown,
I'm feeling very played
no,
right now.
listen, don't feel played. Don't feel played.
Listen. I'm not about to call you the good doctor.
Listen, no. Okay, now I know. I went to. Now I don't know if they black on, but I went to what that is, the Red Rooster around the corner.
They black. That did.
I went there.
Red Rooster been
now,
around
see,
there
I
since
told
I
you.
was at Whistler.
So I told you,
That's
I don't know the areas to say if it's up, down, whatever, but I can tell you the spots I've eaten at. Now you gotta give me a little grace. Now I was born and raised in Algiers. You can't do me that.
You was in the middle of uptown at Edgar P. Horny.
But check it out. When you the leader of the school, you don't even have to leave. My secretary went to get me food.
Still,
my dean went to get me food. They loved me.
Ashonta, you was in the middle of you was in the heart, like you was in like the.
I'm gonna do better with my life. I'm gonna do better with my life.
You got to, bro. You got to, bro.
I'm gonna do better with my life.
I'm
gonna do better with my life.
You got to. I don't know why we even went into this segment because
you wanted to get me here. But listen, in my defense, I told you. I do not know the area like that up here.
She was about to hit us with all that.
You start sweating.
Yeah, bro. Because bro. Yeah, she was about to hit us with all that Fisher Project stuff.
1.5, you heard me?
Oh, Lord.
The dark side of the Fisher 2035 Hindi court.
Oh, Lord. She's throwing out her section on him, man.
Because y'all don't like to show no love to Algiers because y'all act like we not New Orleans, but we are. So I had to make sure I put my footprint down for Algiers. You heard me?
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Kev. Do that again for me, Dad. Kev, he back there like, man, go ahead.
But Kev could vouch for the fact that Aretha could vouch for the fact Treese could vouch for the fact I don't know this side like that.
But you work it.
And that's what I did. Came across the bridge, went to my job, got in my car, and went to my house. I don't know the area like that.
Guess what?
What?
Horny wasn't around. You know what? If you stayed in here, you either went to LaFawn, that was right here in this open field right here, Tom and LaFawn, or you went to Horny.
Okay.
Horny was on 3rd Street.
Okay.
It wasn't on Canal, on Claiborne. So you was in the heart of the
I'm gonna do better. D, I just told you I'm gonna do better with my life,
Man,
now.
go over there to MK.
I am. You got
Look,
that.
look. They brick and mortar.
And I'm
Look.
gonna do a live later, and I'm
Go
gonna hit
get the lamb chop and the seafood rice.
seafood.
Yeah, go get
I'm
the
gonna tell them D
seafood
sent
rice.
me.
Yeah, go get the lamb chop and the seafood rice.
I got
man.
you.
Y'all.
Now when he chopped this up, he gonna try to make it seem like I have never eaten Uptown,
Y'all-
but I
you know
have.
Y'all know I will. Y'all, we didn't went overtime, and
It's all
it was fun.
It was.
But she ended it off the wrong way. Just the wrong
You
way.
can't. I'm an Algerian. You can't like. What you want me to do?
Bro, I just told you about Chubby, so I'll be on.
Right,
on the
you
way.
got that.
Yeah, I've been
I've eaten by
General
Skip, so
Myers.
let me
be
plug
on
Skip
General-
real quick. When I was working at Harney and I was creating partnerships with businesses, I am proud to say that black man was one of the first people, no questions asked, to partner with my school and act whatever you need, Doc. That Skip over there, chicken and watermelon.
Chicken
Shout
and
out to the general.
Yeah, see, look,
Yeah.
y'all, she made it up.
I did.
She made it up.
I did.
She made it up about this much.
Yeah,
about this much. She made it up.
Yeah.
We're gonna let her have that.
Let me have it.
We're gonna let her
Let
have
me have it.
it.
Let me
Next
have
time
it.
you come on, you gotta.
I'm gonna go
Bro,
all Uptown
you
for
got to.
I'm matter of
You
fact,
got
this
to.
whole week
Uptown.
I'm only eating Uptown.
Uptown. Kev, make sure you bring her everywhere Uptown this week, bro. Uptown. Look, I know we got other places in the city, Kev, but look, Uptown, please, let's do that for me. Do that for me. Uptown. Uptown. Oh, shit, Kev, get off.
I just told you that. See?
Man, let me get these people off my post, man. Let me get these.
So this is what I'm gonna do for you, D. I'm gonna hook up with Aretha. That's the homie. She an Uptown girl. I'm gonna get her to bring me to a couple Uptown spots, just for you, black-owned Uptown spots.
Man,
And I'm
look.
gonna give you a report.
Man, let me get these people off my porch, man. They're in the wrong part of the city. Let me get these people off my porch, y'all. She don't even get a good closing. Look,
That Fisher.
that's why I ain't changing my mind. Man, we out of here. Uptown, Third Wall, we out of here. Man,
William J. Fisher Eagle.
we out of here, man. Peace, man. Look, get off my porch, man.